Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to World Championship Series Europe, Season 3, Premier League Round of 16. It's so good to be back with more StarCraft 2 action after 2 fantastic seasons already where we've crowned MVP as the champion of Season 1 and Duck Duck in Season 2. It's now time to see who's got glory for Season 3 in Europe. Let's check out first, before we get into this, and show you exactly how it works in WCS. You'll be familiar with this by now, but just in case you aren't, 3 regions, 3 seasons, all leading down to a global season final each season, and then the top 16 players coming through to the BlizzCon World Championship to crown the global champion for 2013 in StarCraft 2. We're getting so close to the end of that season right now, and 16 players currently remain in Europe, and they have a shot at gaining the amount of points they need to make it through to BlizzCon. The road starts right now for these 16 players. You can see on your screen, fantastic set of 16 players. Group A, we're going to do that this evening. Happy, Whelmu, Stardust and TargA. Group B, some call it the Group of Death, myself included. Group C looks fantastic as well. Got 4GG and Genius in there, also the new boy Showtime. And then Group D features the European champion, the reigning European champion, Mr. Duck Duck. We also have a few other gentlemen to introduce you to this evening, the first of which, some of you might know him. He's, of course, the Warcraft 3 superstar and legend, the former world champion, Mr. Grubby.
I'm doing great. I'm so joyous to be here, even though I couldn't make it as a player. This is the next best thing, and to be working alongside such a fine gentleman as yourself, very happy to be here, and great games coming up. I'm so excited.
Oh, you're very kind. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm super excited. Can't wait to see these first set of games. I don't want to dwell on it too much, and you've already mentioned it slightly, but I'm glad you're here, but I'm kind of unhappy that you're here as well. What went wrong for you this season?
You know, it's not for lack of training, that's for sure, but sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want. And you can look into the reason and think, you know, what went wrong, and you can assure yourself, I've definitely looked into that, but it didn't go that well. But also I have to give credit to my opponents. They played really well, and I have to say also, I'm a little excited to see a newcomer like Starbuck come up like that, bust up the group, bust up the expectations a little bit, even if it's at my own expense.
Very good. Always a gentleman and a sportsman. Let's take a look at Group A. These are the 4 players that have gone through into Group A. It's a tricky group for many reasons, mainly because 3 of them are all hovering around the mid-30s in WCS ranking points, so they all need a fantastic season to make the top 16. The outsider in the group, I guess you could say, is TargA. First time in the WCS Europe, but it's also the first time in WCS Europe for Stardust, and we know all about him from DreamHack Summer. Whelmu was fantastic last season, and Happy, one of only 2 players to make the round of 16 in all 3 seasons of WCS Europe. So, tricky group, Grubby. I mean, how do you sort the men from the boys in this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say. This is an impressive statistic, by the way, on Happy. One of the only 2 players to make it to round of 16
Consistent.
3 times in a row. Maybe soon there'll be like a Happy award in the European scene. Still a bit too much fluctuation, but and we've only had 3 seasons so far of this system, but impressive. TargA, the Mythbuster, taking down a lot of big names, and this is a really hard group to call. You saw all the rankings were so similar, and we have the first 3 players. They need to do well to maybe make it to BlizzCon, but the cool thing to say here is really any player here has his fate in his own hands. If you go all the way, maybe you win the Season 3 finals in Canada, you can still make it to BlizzCon. All of these players are fighting for realistic chances.
Still got a shot.
Far.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Okay, let's take a look at the bracket. It is a dual tournament format, as you would expect from WCS Europe. Win 2 and you're through. We'll start things off with Happy versus TargA. TargA's actually pretty good, ZVT, so he's probably feeling quite good about that matchup, but likewise, Happy's pretty okay with that. He's probably got the weakest player in the group, arguably, as well. And then we'll follow up with Whelmu versus Stardust, which we were talking about it amongst the 4 of us before we went live, and it's the trickiest one to call. Neither of them have played each other before. It's PvP. They're both great at PvP, so do you think that maybe holds the key to where this group ends up going?
I think so. It definitely could be. I mean, it's a very hard match to call. We've all been talking a little bit about it behind the scenes, and no one really can say, well, that's an obvious one. Stardust, he's got a really great PvP record as of late, whereas for Whelmu, he loves the matchup, and love always leads to, you know, more fascination, more effort put into it. and he's got a solid PvP. But the question is going to be, is Whelmu going to do his own game? Is he going to be allowed to play his own game? Or is Stardust going to maybe do some tricky strategies? Because I think between the two of them, Stardust has a few more tricks up his sleeve, but Whelmu kind of has the solid foundation of being known as a generally good PvP player. So it's very, very tough to call, and definitely the key to winning the group might lie in this first match.
Don't forget as well, you can interact with us via social media, all the usual channels on Twitter, on Facebook, of course, as well as starcraft2.com/WCS. Make sure you're following at StarCraft on Twitter as well and using the hashtag #WCS if you want to interact with the show or get your tweet out on the show as well. Make sure you're using the hashtag. We are going to get into game one first off. Let's start up the first matchup of the day in Group A. It's going to be a fantastic game between Happy and TargA. We've already talked a little bit about the previous game, but these two right now, what sticks out for me more than anything else, we know how consistent Happy is. Some may say boring, robotic, I don't know, but I'm not going to agree with them. But really for me, what sticks out here is that win against Naniwa in the round of 32, because TargA really showed that he can adapt. And he adapted from losing the first set, came back into the second set, and Kalaris said he was stunned by how well TargA came back in that game. Do you think that gives him extra kind of confidence now going up against the Russian?
You know, that's a very nice proposition there, and definitely I think you could be right. For TargA, I feel like the key is going to be in his preparation. How is he prepared? Has he said, I want to like fundamentally push everything forward and I want to win by micro and stuff? Might have a hard time, but if he can take Happy out of his comfort zone, and I think probably that's maybe a little bit what he prepared. It's a little awkward because they can hear me talk, but I think he could have pretty good chances. If Happy is allowed to play the way he wants, maybe he'll just power through. But TargA is a tricky player, and I feel like some players, they have these kind of restraints, like this is how I like to play, and that play style that doesn't suit me. I don't like to play that way. And you can say this player always does this and this. TargA, not so much. I feel he's like a free bird in the sky. He goes where he wants. If he thinks something is going to be the right strategy for him, he'll make sure to do that. And we saw that perfectly in his series against Naniwa, as you said. And hopefully we'll see some of that here now too.
All right, thank you very much, Grubby. More thoughts from him after the game. He's going to break the game down for you as well, so we'll see him again a bit later in the show. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for game number one. It's the 23-year-old from Norway and Team Dignitas House, TargA, going head-to-head with the 22-year-old Russian. It is the man that's made all three round of 16s. It's Happy. It's time to go over to our commentary team of Apollo and Kalaris.
Thanks very much, Paul and Grubby. Welcome to the caster's desk here for Season 3, round of 16 in WCS Europe, as we have a pretty awesome game to kick things off.
Yeah, I'm super excited just to be here in the round of 16, just like last season, just like the season before that as well. And here in Season 3, we're ready to kick things off in the round of 16. All the players are coming into Germany. As you can see, here are the first two players ready to kick off game number one. And this is going to be a good one. Grubby described it best. This map, this series, is going to really dictate how the group unfolds. It's very important to get the first win, especially for a player like TargA, who's very good in Zerg versus Terran. And for Happy, I think it sets him up very nicely to move on. If he's able to pick this win up, it's so important for both players.
Yeah, certainly. And, also, even when the Protoss players go up against their opponents next on, they're either playing a Terran or a Zerg. So there's a lot of dynamics that can go on there, depending on who they would want to match up against. Akalon Waste goes away, as well as Yonsu for TargA. Derelict Watcher goes away for Happy. I'm not really too surprised that Happy removes Derelict Watcher. TargA's had a lot of comfort on that map in the past.
Yeah, absolutely, he really has. And I think that what's going to happen with the vetoes is obviously you've got the older maps at the top and then the newer ones towards the bottom, excluding Whirlwind. We're probably going to be seeing favorites picked out, vetoed out the way, as they know and well. For TargA, for example, is going to get rid of Akalon Waste because he knows that's the map where Terrans like to play on. And then I think the newer maps, for example, Frost removed from Happy, are going to be maps that they simply don't like playing on as of recent, because these are the newer, fresher maps. And as we do have the three maps ready to go off, remember this is a best of three. Looking forward to this one.
Yeah, so am I. TVZ, as of late, has been one of the most entertaining matchups to watch. And I think... I was thinking about it a lot, and I was thinking about, what do you see in TVZ? And I think what sums it up best is it's not the end destination that matters, it's how you get there, in terms of you always see very, very similar, play styles from both races, and the end clash is very, very similar. but how do they get to that point is the big question. And Happy is a guy that gets there very, very solidly and normally takes very, very minimal damage.
Yeah, Happy is a player, as Grubby described very smartly, as Grubby knows his players inside out. Happy is a player who's going to be playing very solid and just his A game. He doesn't change very much. And it's up to this guy, as you see on screen, TargA, who will be playing very much so. I think the best way to beat Happy is to have something planned.
Yes.
Happy is known for having some of the best solid Terran player, in the European scene. He goes to a build, he likes this build, he goes for a strategy, he likes the strategy, and will play out, as many people know, this robotic style of play.
Yeah, and it's important to note that the win percentages are from the WCS system only. So that includes things like Dream Hikes, like MLGs, like Homestory Cups, Tier 1, Tier 2 tournaments, as well as the seasons themselves. So currently, Happy in this matchup in the WCS system, not doing too well. It's really where he shines a lot elsewhere. So going up against a player like TargA, he has to be careful about, again, what you said previously, what he may have prepared.
Yeah, I mean, in Season 1, if you remember back to Happy's success, he lost versus Demaga in the quarterfinals. He then lost versus TLO before that. He's not had the best of times against Zergs. That's one way to put it. But this guy, look at his win percentage. So far in the WCS system, 70% against Terran players. Comes in at his strongest matchup to kick things off. If TargA has an opportunity to move through, and I believe there is one, then he must win game number 1. Anything other than a win here really ramps up the difficulty of having to play maybe a rematch against Happy later on, and then the other 2 Protoss plays. Very, very deadly. And if TargA's going to be able to advance through, this is his best shot by far.
Yeah, I have to echo those sentiments. I also feel it's his best shot, especially going in as the first match going into it. Because then you only have 1 series left. If you win it, great stuff. You don't necessarily have to go down to that lower portion of the group. But TargA, just in general, he's an interesting player. I got to say, having been across the world practicing wherever and then trying to come into this, he's a player that's not really that not that well studied, because it's hard to prepare for someone like TargA who can throw anything at you.
Yeah, TargA's a player that really can throw anything at you, right? And that's going to be a very important factor to keep in consideration. Though TargA, as you said, traveling around the world and so on, one thing to note for TargA is that he even failed to qualify for Challenger League in Season 1. He's a very new player into the Premier League. That we've seen Happy up on that stage many a time now, 3 times to be exact, of course. But with TargA, he qualified for Season 2 Challenger League. He then played in Challenger League itself, and then was able to burst through the scene into Premier League. He's had a very successful last couple of months compared to his majority of his career. Of course, he had that one big stunt at Valencia DreamHack last year. But overall, consistently strong results together. He's really put them together. But can he now perform where it matters the most?
Yeah, you're right. A 3rd and 4th at that DreamHack Valencia was really good for him. I believe he lost to TargA in the end, but he was the highest placing foreigner there. So it shows that TargA does have the chops eventually to, kind of eke out those wins. But now, guys, we are going to be getting onto the first map here in this best of 3, as we have TargA and Happy TVZ for the first series of the round of 16. And oh boy, am I looking forward to this, as we load up onto Frost for game number 1. So, spawning up to the north in position here as our red Terran, representing Empire and Russia. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Happy. And down to the south as our blue Zerg, representing Team Dignitas as well as Norway, he is TargA.
So, of course, this is the first step of many from playing live in the WCS Cologne studios. Well, man. Well. The first game of the day. Zerg versus Terran here. Grubby, want to bring up that point again. I truly believe that TargA must come into this series prepared.
Yes.
I think is the best way to describe it. He needs to know how Happy plays and needs to be able to do something against it. Happy is already opened up with a barracks, pushed out a little bit already, which is actually going to push his Reapers into the game a little bit earlier on. We're taking a 12 gas right behind it. He's absolutely going for Reapers, and he will be putting the pressure on very early to the unexperienced WCS competitor.
And a big shout out to our observer here, Mr. Funker, StarCraft, for joining us in the crew for the round of 16. It's always nice to have an observer here along for the ride. Means I don't have to do it. Means I don't have to torture you guys through that process. But you're right, Happy here with his barracks placement. And this is a map where you can do this on because of the ledge placements on this map. You know, pushing that up against that initial ledge so you can just jump straight up that one as well that Mr. Funker is observing. Oh God, I'm so happy that you see it.
Of course, it's always a pleasure to have someone do the driving. He can be the backseat passenger. And already we do see TargA with the barrack scout with his overlord, so immediately just throws down a gas. And this is actually something which is becoming more and more popular with Zerg plays in recent times. The other playstyle is to go without the gas and to go along the lines of queen only and defend with slow Zerglings and a couple of queens.
Yeah.
But a couple of Zerg players are opting to get Zergling speed out a little bit earlier to help deal with it, because not only are Reapers going to be playing, usually one, or even two, sorry, is that Hellions are very fast follow-up from this. So they're going to be joined together, and it is sometimes difficult to deal with. And also with taking a gas earlier on, not only is it easier with Zergling speed to get, but you can eventually maybe all in behind this. You could do something very aggressive with this gas that you're taking in.
Yeah, the transitionary moves out of it are really, really nice for the Zerg. But you're right, dealing with the Hellions afterwards is good as well. And Happy, not getting any drones just yet. The Zerglings will pop. They'll buy time for the Queens then to zone out from the main and natural as well. There's that cancellation. Just making sure that that drone stays alive and isn't wasted.
Yeah, well, he decided to build 6 Zerglings here instead of 4. 4 is usually a comfort number that a lot of Zerg players like to go for. It is balancing very difficult because sometimes you do lose them if you get 4. But 6 is saying here that he may even, with a mistake from Happy, be able to get a kill, but it also gives him a lot more buffering before his queens are out, which are now starting to appear.
Second Reaper jumps in, but will be pushed away. Whoa, he actually loses that first Reaper. A slight slip from Happy that is not that common, actually.
You're not meant to lose the Reapers.
No.
Actually, you're not meant to lose them until God knows what time, for a very, very long time, if not keeping them along up to like 10 minutes in the game, getting the Hellions out and combining them together. That was a bit sloppy there by Happy.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, combining them together in general makes that little poke out with the Hellions that much more potent, just a little bit more for your opponent to worry about. And Happy here is just switching his barracks out, getting that tech lab on the barracks as well. Adding on the double barracks, so it's going to be the bio focus from him after, obviously, this Hellion poke out.
Yeah, and one thing to note, though, that TargA saw this with an Overlord. He saw the extra barracks, but he didn't see a third command center. He saw the extra barracks. They're added on earlier than they should be at this point. And he's poking in again here. He may be able to get the other scout as well. And this is some big information. And so far already in this game, TargA's killed a single Reaper. He's picked up information that his opponents added on extra barracks earlier on. So TargA's now saying to himself, well, I've got to be careful with my drone production.
Yeah.
If I over-drone at this point, I could get stung by a Marine and Hellion, with a single Reaper, not 2, timing. This is something that already has been picked up by TargA and is actually very good for his development in this game.
Yeah, and those double reactors are going to be added on very quickly here as well. So
He's
Happy
seen them as well.
Exactly, he sees it. So he knows how much production capability his opponent's going to have. And he's already pushing the creep out as well with those Hellions trying to poke at the front. But the Zerglings with speed already giving them a little bit of a harder time with those reinforcing queens.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd say TargA's really started this game well.
Yeah.
Really, really well. He's got his third base down, uncontested. The Hinds and the Reaper, if the Reaper's even still alive, it's not alive. So he's actually lost that Reaper too. So now he's only got these Hellions out. And with the Reaper, you can actually use it to buffer and tank a bit of damage instead of the Hellions, because of course the Reaper regenerates. It also offers extra DPS in there as well, damage per second. So not the best of starts here for Happy at all. He's even a little bit supply clapped at 46. Not the player that we thought we'd be seeing today.
And, you know, with these Hellions pushing these queens away, if the Reaper was here, it could have maybe even jumped into the main, had a look around just for a second there, as well as the TargA is focusing all of his attention at the front. Baneliness as well as 18 Zerglings are on the way, but there is double evolution chamber, so that kind of gives me rise to think that, you know, this is going to be a bit more of a longer focus.
Yeah, he's absolutely playing a longer focus. The Baneliness here is simply because he's seen the extra barracks before the third command center, so he's making sure that if a big attack comes, he has the Banelings necessary to deal with it. And so far, everything's beautiful. He was dancing a little bit with death there because he was very low in his unit count, but we'd added on 18 Zerglings. These Hinds make one mistake on creep, they are goners.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. These Zerglings, if they swing in at the right time and try and get the surround, but no, he's not going to be able to. Actually, that is a lot of Hellions that have come along with this army. He's still producing them. Yeah. So he's anticipating his opponent going very melee, heavy focused with a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Banelings, and that many Hellions incorporated into that army. are going to be very useful.
That's why he's morphing Banelings already. It's 60 drones to 37 SCVs. A big difference when it comes to income, especially because there is not, as mentioned, the difference with the mules, because there's only 2 sets instead of 3, which usually comes from the 3rd command center. If TargA's able to deal with this, because Stim is now done and the medivacs are coming out, units will join together soon. If TargA deals with this pressure from Happy and gets good Baneling connections, he's going to set him up so far ahead. Remember that the 3rd command center is also missing, but so are the engineering base. 1-1 is already halfway complete. TargA is just so far in a much better situation. Like I said, as long as he doesn't take major damage in the next minute or 2.
Exactly. If that happens, if TargA just holds and stays sturdy, then he's going to be absolutely flying. He's even preparing for drops that are going to be coming along here. The Zerglings are just not going to notice these two moving out, but at the same time, the Spore Crawlers will buy him a little bit of time.
Yeah, well, we'll see how well he can deal with this. That's a lot of Hellions, man. That is a lot of Hellions. Is he going to take damage? Because this is the window that he needs to survive.
And he's going to try and drop in here. Those Spore Crawlers not really doing a whole lot, trying to work away at one of the medevacs, and will kill it off. So that denies a bit of the retreatment focus here from Happy. So he's going to do a lot of damage regardless. He killed off 10 workers already.
He's doing a lot of damage. This is not meant to happen here for TargA. He's lost a lot of Zerglings. His drones have been evacuated. Their Hellions are still alive. His Banelings are not going to get the detonations they need because Hellions are going to move back. And so far, TargA, Happy, who's forgot about the 3rd command center, who's forgot about upgrades with his units, is dealing a lot of damage.
Yeah, Centrifugal Hooks was not done. These Banelings were not able to get in positions to actually kill off this army. And now Happy behind this, well, you know, he's dealt a lot. He's dealt resources lost of 3,000 to 1,500. So good trades from Happy so far.
And Happy's got the drop on the natural. He's got the Hellion swinging around to the 3rd base. He's looking for the drone line, and they're going to get a couple of drones here.
Not just a few, quite a lot there. And he's already killed off another 8 at this base. Those Hellions really going to work. He did lose a lot, so maybe a counterattack can try and work, but even still, Happy's got a lot of production back at home.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously not been dealt with the best here by TargA. Happy really putting the pressure onto him with this build and setup, but he now has his 3rd command center. He now has his double engineering bay. Some of you Terran players may even notice that we've seen a lot of supply cooldowns, energy that could have been mules that have been thrown into supply depots because he was getting supply blocked throughout of this. But now the game is starting to stabilize. +2 melee has not been researched yet for TargA. Is obviously a missing upgrade here. The Spire is done. Happy knows about it. Happy is obviously even building turrets, as we can see. And so far, I'd say that this has been successful for Happy. Absolutely. That's a lot of drones and a lot of units he's killed.
I have to ask, though, Apollo, do you think that Happy kind of, with the 3rd command center being so late, do you think he had to kill at least some workers to try and even up that economical?
Absolutely. The numbers he's killed is good enough. So it's not put him in a big lead. As you can see by the supplies, it's still relatively equal. You know, TargA has got a little bit of an advantage at this point. But if Happy didn't do that kind of damage, absolutely, TargA's running away with this game at this point.
All right, well, he's going to kill these rocks off at the back, and this is one of the first times in a pro game in WCS we've actually seen someone taking this base at the back. He's going to have a nicely situated 3rd to mean it's a little bit easier defendable, but this is something that comes back to this map. This Mutalisk style around this 2nd to 3rd base can be really, really annoying, so Happy has to have good missile turret placement if he wants to defend that kind of harassment.
Yeah, +2 melee now being researched. He had to rebuild the spawning pool. He also lost that a little bit earlier on to those Marines, which is slowing him down a lot. And Happy's catching up and going to overtake in supply soon enough. He's got great production now. He's getting his 2-2 on the way. But of course, there is an opportunity for TargA. It's not all lost. The game was kind of equalized, if not put a little bit in Happy's favor through that attack.
Yeah.
But one thing to note is that the upgrades are massively faster here for TargA.
Yeah, and he could use that to full advantage if he actually wants to try and start pressuring once 2-2 is finished up. He's getting +1 as well for the Mutalisks, so looking to go out into that even longer game. And so many Marines now in production here as Happy really hits his stride with that macro, looking to put on some pressure himself as well, realizing there's no base down there, and it's up to the top left, which is a scary place for a Zerg to actually normally defend if Happy sniffs it out.
Oh, big drop set up there. Big drop headed towards the main base. The Marines and mines are still in the middle of that. TargA, I don't think he's seen it. I really don't think he saw it there. I think it slipped past. I'm not too sure. He sees it now, but...
And that could do some damage. This really could do some damage. Drops the Widow Mine, makes sure that he can actually try and kill off some of the drones at the back there, but it doesn't really connect too well. The Zerglings and Mutalisks will come back and clean this up for TargA, so it wasn't, you know, that considerably a loss.
Yeah, it wasn't that good there from Happy. Didn't really achieve too much. He killed a couple of drones, but not really achieving too much with that. And as we can see, TargA has taken a supply lead. And that 4th base is up to this top left, not mining gas at this moment. But TargA's in a very comfortable position.
He is. He's going to flood forwards with a lot of Zerglings. Whoop, has to be careful though.
Yeah, not super comfortable if he's going to take losses like that. But he's at 2-2.
Yeah.
And he's got his +1 attack now done for his Mutalisk. He's building a lot of Banelings. And obviously, when you got Mutalisk up in the sky and you've got a lot of Banelings on the ground, that's all you need, right?
Yeah, that is all you need.
Apparently, that's all you need.
Well, it's not a bad composition, gotta say. Not too bad. Unless, of course, Happy does get some really good Widowmine connections. He's getting Tunneling Claws, making them all the more effective. He does spot the drop down to the bottom right, but did he? He is moving his army. We'll see if he wants to come back for this, but...
There's a lot of spines there, though.
Yeah. So he shouldn't be taking too much damage. Moves the Widowmine back, so it can actually detonate on a few of these drones. And does get 2 in the process.
Yeah, supply is very equal at this point, isn't it? Very, very neck and neck, and especially as that 2-2 upgrade is coming in. The one thing, though, is that... Oh, actually, I was going to say there's not too many drops going on, but here's another one that's popped up to the top left here. Has found that base, and it's going to evacuate.
This is Happy's comfort zone, right? Just dropping on either side of bases that get very spread out. And Frost is a map where if you take that base up to the top left-hand side, you are super, super spread out with your bases. So TargA has to be so careful about that. He's got spine crawlers there, but they're not necessarily in the greatest of positions to push back the army if it drops there.
Whoa, Mutalisk flock inside the main base. Not too many Marines here to help defend it. There are more coming back. One thing to note, though, throughout all of this, is that, actually, TargA's got into the 3rd base as well with a couple of units here. But I was going to point out that the Hive is on its way, and +2 attack as well, and we aren't really seeing Happy pressure too much. You know, he's lost a couple of units in the mid-game here. He's not really controlling this game as much as a Terran should be. Just envision Innovation was playing this game, right? Innovation is controlling the flow of it. He's not letting you mine from the 4th. There's no way you'd ever take a 5th base, but that's a reality here in this game. TargA can do that. TargA with the Hive coming down can get over to units which win the game, which is gonna be Ultralisks. 3-3 upgrades, Ultralisk can come in, and if we don't see Happy do something soon, then the units and the economy and all of this will be heavily in TargA's favor.
And it's, it's a great transition to go for. You know, having those melee upgrades throughout the mid portion of the game as well, just moving straight onto those Ultralisks. They are so beefy, and if your opponent isn't reading into it, he's losing a lot of Zerglings there, though. Well, he should be able to replenish. He does have 21 lava behind this, so it's not the biggest of losses, but it eats into your minerals
as well. But there is a counter-attack from TargA that's got into the mineral line. That's really, really good. Slowing his...
oh, that's a lot of Banelings going down. Admittedly, all the Widowmines did end up dying under it as well, but those Marines pushing on. Those Mutalisks can't do anything. Banelings morphing in. He needs those Banelings. He needs to save this base.
I think they will. As soon as they morph, there's not much there. There's no mines. And if there's no mines, the Banelings are going to go absolutely berserk on these Marines.
You have to lift and run away. Fight another day, my friend, as another base is being ravaged here by these small Zergling attacks from TargA.
Oh, he has got a drop going on the other side of the map, but this is not good enough. I'm sorry. Losing too many SCVs to these small counterattacks is hurting him. He's stuck at 100 supply. TargA's at 160. He has 3-3 on the way. He has lost his spawning pool again. But at this point, TargA, without losing his 4th base, without being, pressed around and slowed down too much around the map, is in prime position.
Yeah, he is. And, well, Happy, he's going to try and establish this base down to the bottom right, but with that flock of Mutalisks pressuring as well, I don't think he's going to have the easiest time defending this location as well as others. Widowmine will push this away, but other than that, I mean, TargA is going to max out pretty soon, and when he wants to, he can start really pushing some hurt.
Well, the problem is Happy simply does not have a large enough economy in this game anymore. He's down to 27 SCVs. It's not a very large amount. He doesn't have an excess amount of orbital commands. The problem is he doesn't have the money to deal with what's coming in the production, which is the upgrades. He has his own upgrades, but then the Ultralisks as well. Another drop's going to just get picked off, and that's another waste of supply gone and dusted.
Yeah.
And as soon as Ultralisks grace the field, it's mines, which are obviously good, but there's not that many of them, and then it's just Marines.
Yeah, and what do you do against that? Happy, he really needs to find a way out of the desperate situation he's found himself in. 33 Mutalisks are going to start controlling this map completely. Or they may just engage straight up with a lot of Zerglings and Banelings, because actually, there's not really that many Widowmines. Only 6 against a maxed out Zerg. It's not going to do enough if he's not careful.
That's not going to do enough, man. Look at this, there's a lot of units. 12 more Banelings getting morphed in. The upgrades are soon to align. It's like when all the stars align, you know the world is over.
Yeah, it's gone. Happy, his world is going to be over soon if he doesn't do something, and he has to make a move just like the stars aligning. It's going to be a big one. I mean, what can Happy do?
Not much, unfortunately. The only way that he could efficiently get back into this game with a fighting chance is through Widowmine connections. If somehow, some way, the Mulas fly into Widowmines, if somehow, some way the Banelings walk and go over Widowmines and they all die, then yes, there's a chance. But is that going to happen?
I don't think so. I do not think so. You're basically asking for the Widowmines to align and try and do something for Happy. But there you go, GG. Game number 1 goes to TargA. And he looks pretty, it's like a frustration feeling, but also, you know, a relief as well there for TargA.
It's a bit of everything. It's his first time playing at this level in the WCS. It's the first time in Premier League this season. He made his way through round of 32, beating Naniware out. He was the first player to really make an upset in the WCS system. And now Happy, a consecutive round of 16 place minimum finisher. Of course, went to the round of 8 in Season 1. Unfortunately, was round of 16 in Season 2. Has dropped map number 1 here in Season 3. And to be honest, I'll be brutally honest here, was not looking the best we've seen him so far.
No, and you know, there's been times where Happy has appeared at the live portion of WCS, and he's almost looked a bit rushed. Like in, I think it was Season 2 where we saw him just going for, you know, more barracks as opposed to, you know, an extra standard command center that he would normally go for. And then be like, well, you know, I need to kill him now. But I think that Happy's more comfortable going for that macro focus here, especially, you know, in a matchup where you can go from macro focus.
Yeah, it really is. But I was surprised with that choice to go for that build. Yeah. Very surprised, you know? Do you think he does it again? Do you think that he does go to what we're expecting? As we can just see while we do think about those options, here are the last couple of moments. Happy clearly just not happy in TargA.
No. With
a sigh of relief after picking up map number 1. Do you believe that he goes over towards a similar playstyle, or does he go back to what we know that he's best with?
It's an interesting thought, because has Happy come into this this tournament preparing this build and this strategy and just kind of saying, this is what I'm going for, this is what I'm going to do game to game to game? Or is Happy comfortable enough in saying, I want a more macro focus? Because I think Happy has the multitasking and the capabilities of standing toe-to-toe with a player like TargA in the later stages as well.
I believe so. And to be honest, one thing to note is when you play this style as Happy, is that once it gets scouted, you almost feel like, oh god, this game's not already going well. It's already been scouted. But here is our next map that we'll be going over to. It is going to be Whirlwind, a map that you should be very familiar with. It's a 4 spawning player map. You can spawn in each of the top locations or bottom locations. And it is one of the bigger maps that we know. This is a macro focus map which should play towards the style that we should, as mentioned, be expecting to see from Happy. Nothing too funky, just going over to his usual play setup, and this is the perfect map to do it on.
It really is, and the same thing, you know, kind of accounts to TargA as well. He's really not going to change up. Well, I mean, he doesn't. I feel that he doesn't have to change up what he did in game number 1. Yes, there is the option for him to go for something very, very aggressive, but he did really well in that macro game. He stood heights above Happy right there.
All right, well, let's see if he can continue to stand above Happy, as Happy's the one that's been there, done it. He's been in the round of 32, he's been in the round of 16, he's moved on to the round of 8, almost made it to the Season 1 finals to represent Europe. But unfortunately has been on a bit of a downslide in Season 2, and as what we can see so far in Season 3, not started off in the best way possible. But what's possible? Anything in this series. Yeah. It has to happen now for Happy.
It absolutely has to. Zerg has been his downfall in the past. Will it be again here in Series number 1, as we have spawning up to the top right, Red Terran, representing Empire as well as Russia. He is Happy. And down to the bottom right-hand corner are Blue Zerg, representing Team Dignitas, as well as Norway. He is TargA.
Has there been... Okay, there is. You know, I've done that thing again, man. I ask a question and answer it before I finish the question. I was going to say, has there been another Dignitas member this deep into WCS? And I answered it already, which was Tefl.
Yeah.
Is the only player so far. But TargA here sending out a very early drone scout. On a 4-player map, as mentioned on Whirlwind, it is difficult sometimes to scout your opponent. The Overlords may get there. If you don't drone scout, the Overlords get there very, very late.
Very late.
Very late.
Yeah.
So he's actually opted to just send out the drone here straight away. He sent an Overlord up north and is going to scout roughly at the same time, the top left, as he is going to the top right. Just to kind of figure out what Happy's doing. Is it Barracks Command Center? Is it Command Center first? Is it going to be 2 racks that he could be looking for?
It's weird, though, because I'm kind of surprised that he's... I mean, yes, you do want a spot where your opponent is obviously very early, but Happy's not the kind of guy to throw in something a little more aggressive early on. So maybe TargA's looking for opportunity here more than anything.
I guess so. It's definitely a possibility here. Another thing as well to look at is possible mindsets of the players. After Happy didn't have a good game 1,
True.
Sometimes there is the option that Terran players just go ahead and say, screw it, and go for a 2 racks to look for an easy way back in to kind of reset the playing field. But yeah, we'll see if he takes a gas, and then we clearly know what he's up to. But Happy's opened up just regular build. Command Center first, Barracks, gas. It has been spotted nice and early from the Overlord, which didn't reveal itself either.
Gas goes down for TargA as well.
Doesn't need a gas in this sense if he's going to play a straight-up game.
Exactly. So what is he going to do with this? And again, this comes back to what I was saying. Maybe he's looking for opportunity, trying to find some room to put on some aggression himself. It would be really weird if it was just for defensive speed, I think.
Well, it's not defensive speed. It's Command Center first, right? So...
So what are you going to do, Mr. TargA? What are his options here?
Well, a couple of options that he looks at here is getting Zergling speed very early on and just trying to overwhelm the natural and break it and force him back to his main base. He can go heavier than that and go for a Zergling bailing bust. He can go heavier than that and go for fast roaches. He can go heavier than that and get Zergling speed and roaches and a bailing attack. There's multiple options. Anything defensively doesn't make the most sense. Let's just say that. So it could incline aggression here.
Well, there's the Roach Swarm. So indeed, TargA is now kind of changing things up a little bit more than we were anticipating.
So key point here is just to deny the SCV scout. And if he sends down his first queen, which he's doing at this point, if you think right now, as a Terran player, when you go up and scout, just go through Happy's mind right now. He's going up there, or should be, looks for the 3rd base. Oh, okay, that's a little bit weird. And then he's going to go up and see 2 queens. 2 queens at this position tells the Terran player, oh, that's 4 queens. Because usually you have your 2 queens at the front. Because they've just lava injected, now they've moved to the front ready to creep spread. But it's not that. That's the only 2 queens he has. He's moved it from the main base. He's tricking his opponent. And now all of a sudden there's 6 roaches on the way. 7 roaches on the way.
That's a lot of roaches.
8 roaches on the way, Claris.
And even if this wall's off, and there are maybe
9
1 or 2
roaches
Marines,
on the way, Claris.
That's a lot of roaches.
10 roaches on the way,
oh my God.
Claris.
That's a lot of roaches. Well, anyway, even if he walls that off and the bunker gets there and he starts repairing it, there's still going to be a lot of SCVs dying. And that's what TargA is, using as the compensatory factor for this.
Well, Happy, very smartly, even though he hasn't seen it, has scouted both 3rd base locations of his opponent and is saying, it's a little bit weird, and has opted for a very fast wall-off. But look at his build order and strategy choice behind this. It's Blue Flame Hellions anyway.
Uh-oh.
And obviously Hellions aren't the best tool necessary to deal with roaches at your front door.
At least you can have a lot of units out, but it's really not going to help out a whole lot here. He's got 1 Marine in that bunker, and that's about it. These Hellions, they even move out of position as these roaches move forward.
If he walks up into the base, okay, at least it's shut, but still the bunker's going to get picked off. There's no reaction from the SCVs here. The front wall is down, a tank is being made already. The Hellions are coming back to defend, but Happy could be staring at a 2-0 defeat.
If TargA sees the tech lab here, he can work on the tech lab and then just sit around the factory. As soon as he knows a tank's in production. Of course there has to be after a Blue Flame Hellion opener, after seeing these roaches, so he can kill off a lot of SCVs.
There's no 3 command centers. It's going to be very difficult to recover the SCV losses that he's taking at this point. He's already dropped down to 16 SCVs. There's 38 drones. There's more roaches on the way, apparently, in the production tab with Zergling speed as well. And Happy is plummeting down.
Oh, he's got 12 SCVs left against 38 drones. What a fantastic change up here from TargA. Really keeping his opponent on the toes, killing SCV after SCV. And now Happy is staring down the barrel of defeat in game number 2 once again.
That's right. He's got 4 SCVs left. At this point, it's almost impossible to recover from. If there was a 3rd command center, the only person that could ever do that would be MVP. But that is not the case here. That is not the case. Happy is not doing well, clearly. And TargA, as we described earlier on in the broadcast, has taken the best possible chance in this game to move on to the round of 8, maybe. Of course, there's 2 other opponents, but this was his best pattern. This is his best way to make it through. Beat the Terran player that you're meant to beat because of statistics, then think about and worry about the Protoss players after. Yeah,
TargA's looked great all WCS system along in terms of dealing with Terrans, and this really shows why he is that good against them. And Happy has not really brought it just yet, and he's going to try and do some damage with his Helens, but once they can't get in, GG. TargA takes the series 2-0 in convincing fashion.
TargA, indeed, he does it. First step, and moves on to the winners match here in the round of 16 Group A. And he defeats Happy, a consistent round of 16 player, 3 seasons in a row. But this time TargA is the one, as you can see, that gets the nod.
And for TargA, I recall in interviews him saying something to the effect of, you know, once I get into WCS Europe, I will do well, but it's getting in that's one of the toughest parts of it. The qualifiers are always very, very heavily contested, but he got in during Season 2, and look where he is now in that first series. Very, very impressive play.
2-0 over Happy. And to be honest, not too many people really knew how this group would shape up. It's a very close group of 4 very close players when it comes to their skill level. And I thought that it would come down to who plays the better on the day, because on paper, I think a lot of people would say Happy over TargA. But today, with circumstances and how these two played today, it was TargA that is the first player to make it into the winners match and would go up against the winner of our second match that is coming up very shortly.
Yeah, and this gives him the room to just go up against one opponent. Here we have the winning moment, and TargA, as you can see, very happy with that initial result. Not surprised, you know, beating a player like Happy, who has been the consistent mainstay here in WCS Europe, is a good move forwards in the round of 16.
I was looking over, you know, when the Roaches first broke through. I'm quite sure there was...
Okay, well, it's understandable.
I'm quite sure there was. I'm quite sure there was.
All right, guys, so we can send it over to an interview with the victor of our first series, Mr. Dignitas TargA.
Thanks very much, guys. Yes, with TargA, congratulations. First of all, fantastic couple of games against a player that many thought would take you down. I mean, would it be fair to say coming into this group you were considered the underdog? Would that be a fair statement? Putting you on the spot straight away.
Yeah, I would say so. I haven't had any results in over a year now, so it's good to finally do good at least. Yeah,
DreamHack last year, 3rd, 4th last year, I think, in the DreamHack Open. But right now, just riding a crest of a few very good results. We talked about the Naniwa game before the match started, and now a 2-0 against Happy. I mean, talk us through the first map. What were your thoughts on that first map? It was quite a long one.
Yeah, I scouted what he was doing, and I thought that he would either hit with everything on my third base, or he would try to do sneaky drops in my main base. I was kind of prepared for the drops, but not enough. Like, it did so much damage. And I thought I was behind, but like I knew that he was on 2 command centers, so things kind of evened up. I think he wanted to do more damage. And after that, I just slowly got a bigger and bigger lead. My 4th base got droned up very, very fast. I did huge economical damage to him, and I think it was a good game. And the second game, I get lucky with the scout. That's about it. I hide my overlord. I do a retard magnet with the Ling, so I don't think he was paying attention when I woke the roaches up. So I killed the bunker instantly, and I got into his main base. So it's super easy. Yeah. Everyone can do that.
I don't know about everyone, but I think you're underselling yourself, but well done. Fantastic win. When you came into this game and you looked at it and you went, oh, okay, I've got ZVT first. That's good. I'm strong. I know I'm good against Terran. And actually, when we looked at his stats, we saw beforehand, he's not too good with Zerg. Did that play on your mind, or did you just ignore all of that stuff and just concentrate on the game itself?
When I started preparing, I was only preparing for Happy. Well, like a Terran. I didn't prepare for any other Terrans. I knew he's very predictable. He's one of the most predictable players in Europe, so yeah, it's easy to prepare for him. That's about it.
All right, well, congratulations. You're through to the winners' game. Any preference on either of the two Protoss to face in the next round?
I would like to play Stardust in a tournament, because I haven't done it yet, and I think that would go well for me. And also, I would like to play Welmu, because he beat me at Ace's Rug, so I would like some revenge.
You're 4-4 with Stardust right now online, but as you said, you haven't played him anywhere else, so is that right?
No online tournaments.
No online tournaments either?
Yeah, like no offline tournaments. The online tournaments I don't count, because I think one of them he played from Korea, so that result is pretty much a void.
Well, best of luck. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, TargA is our first winner of the night from Group A. He'll go through to face either Welmu or, of course, the player he's playing tonight, a man who has already won a DreamHack tournament, Stardust, from the summer. One of those two will face this chap soon. For now, though, we're going to go and have the game broken down by none other than another Protoss legend. It is, of course, Grubby.
So I come from playing some TVZ yesterday on my own stream with 5 starports and 5 factories going for Ravens and Widow Mines, which is a little bit ridiculous. And now I have to analyze one of the highest level TVZ games that we have the pleasure of watching. So bear with me a little bit if I'm off, but I'm just going to try to apply my own principles a little bit to it. Yeah, Happy, predictable player, more or less. He's diversified himself more recently, but still. And then you've got TargA, who I pegged as a player who's very good at preparing, right? So TargA, he said, you're on 2 base. Happy was on 2 base. And what I think when a Terran is 2 base, it's very unusual. He's really kind of outside the curve with that, Happy. Most Terrans, you'll see them open up with 2 Reapers straight into triple CC. We see Lucifron doing that. We see most Koreans doing that, but he was on 2 CCs for a while. And what I say then, you need to do massive amounts of damage. So I found TargA's response to go for 3 base and a lot of drones quite unusual, and I felt like he really showed a very confident mastery of his play. We see right now, I've asked the game to be paused here, because I feel like this is quite a crucial moment. We've got 68 drones for TargA. From this point on, if there's no damage being done, it's only gonna go better from this point onwards, right? Happy starts there, and he does a drop which looks very, very good initially. He kills a lot of Zerglings, gets himself in a nice position, denies mining time, and kills a number of drones, yet not as much as maybe he would like. 11 drones have gone down. Then we've got the second force, the Hellions coming in at the front. They kill the Banelings fairly easily, they kill the Zerglings, but later, slightly off camera, the Banelings, they killed a few Hellions. Right here, we see a few Hellions going down, and what are they basically doing? They're fighting against Queens. Best thing that Hellions can do is roast drones, right? But we didn't see that much of that. So I have to kind of say that was a crucial moment. When someone went that greedily ahead of you, there's 2 things you can do. You kill him and make him GG out of the game. TargA wasn't about to do that. Or you do as much damage to leave them in a crippled state where you can catch up with your later extra 3rd base. And I really didn't feel like that happened. It looked a little scary for TargA, but I think he felt in control. And now, from this point onwards, Mutualists start coming out, and TargA just has too much map control. Terran's usually in a very problematic state of the game when the Mutualists have the opportunity to go to the Terran base and start harassing. And because of that threat of these new, improved, regenerative Mutualists, Widowmine attacks, Marine attacks, they are constant all the time. And Happy's rhythm, it didn't look that constant, constantly attacking. So TargA really prepared well here, went greedy despite a 2-base Terran, and very massively defended it. So it was a very impressive show of preparation and mastery over the game. Second game, we didn't really need to look at it. TargA said anyone can do it, but are you gonna do it at the right time? That's the main one. And he showed he did it at the right time. So that's a 2-0 victory. I'm not that surprised by it because TargA has taken down a lot of great names and he's good at preparing. Well done by him. Let's take it over to Paul. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Grubby. Yes, good analysis breaking down the game there of match number 1 in Group A. We'll be back very shortly with game number 2, and it's a bit of a coin flipper, frankly. And we don't know in the studio who's going to win this one. They've never met before. We'll find out very shortly who's going through to the winners' final. Which Protoss will it be? Before we get there, quick reminder for you, keep the tweets coming via Twitter on #WCS. Make sure you use the hashtag, and we may even feature them during the matches themselves. And also make sure you're following @StarCraft on Twitter and also on Facebook.com/. StarCraft. Also, www.starcraft2.com/WCS. But you're already there because you're already watching the show. But if you're not, you should be. And if you are, then go and grab a friend, add them onto another PC, show them some StarCraft. It's going to be a fantastic night. In Group A of the round of 16 in WCS Europe Premier League Season 3. We'll be back very shortly after the break with more action. It's PvP next.
Don't play, start,